Oh, it's another day here at the Comeback Team Studios. This is your host, Bek Lover, and you're watching Interesting Times on the Bek Lover podcast, where you might just learn a thing or two about life. I gather all the interesting headlines, stories, things that might not even be in the mainstream media, and I gather all the most important information that's happening around the world and maybe even in your part of the world. It's so important to keep track of everything that's going on in this fast-paced environment that we live in. And rather than surfing through all the different news outlets and all the different social media stuff, I do all the work for you. I bring you the best, the most interesting, the most dramatic, the saddest, the happiest, the craziest stories in the world. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and tune in to my almost daily podcast. I also have guests on all the time. I've had some of the biggest celebrities in the world, some of the most interesting people in the world, from former criminals to Rachel Ray to Carol Baskin of Tiger King to Havoc of Mobb Deep to Lilo Brancato of Bronx Tale. You never know who's going to be on the show, but I promise you, you're going to be entertained and you're going to leave a little bit more educated than you were. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and stay tuned to your boy Bek Lover. I'm going to get into some of the headlines today of things that have happened over the Memorial Day weekend. I hope you had a nice Memorial Day weekend. Let's not forget why we celebrate Memorial Day. Rest in peace to all of our fallen service people who served in the military, who helped defend the United States from threats foreign and within. Hopefully, these amazing people are never forgotten, regardless if we agree with the conflicts that our politicians have gotten in our country into, and I have not agreed with many of them. These men and women gave their lives when they were commanded to do what they were told to do, and that was loyalty on their behalf. It doesn't mean I agree with every conflict our country has entered into and supports, especially what's going on right now in the Middle East. I do not support it at all. In any event, rest in peace, the people that we lost. God bless the United States of America, and may God guide this country back to a place of positivity and doing what is right and standing for the oppressed and not helping them be oppressed. With that said, I want to start in New York City. We have a very interesting story that occurred over the weekend. I'm very proud of this gentleman, not only for being a man who stood up and protected his fiance and his family member as they were attacked on a subway in New York City. I'm proud and honored that this is a fellow Albanian, and he showed why we are a brave people and we don't think twice about giving our lives or putting our well-being in front of those that we love and care about. This is why having Albanian friends, and anyone that has Albanian friends can tell you, Albanians are ferociously loyal. They don't care if you're black, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Korean, it don't matter. If they are your friend, they will defend you with everything they have, even their lives. And this story is proof of it. So I want to give a shout out to this gentleman. And this is all over the papers here in New York. And another reason to remind all of us just how unsafe, unpredictable, how dangerous New York City has become. And all the local businesses in New York City are paying the price because tourists don't want to come here because of stories like this. But I want to give a shout out to my fellow Albanian. His name is Petrit Aliaj. And in this unfortunate incident, he showed his bravery. He showed his resolve to protect the love of his life and his cousin. And I'm proud of you, Petrit. If you're watching this, Bek Lover sending you some love. New York City strap hanger set on fire, blocked fiance from maniac's flaming liquid in subway attack, has burns on 30% of his body. This is in the New York Post and every major news article. The man who severely burned, who was severely burned when a maniac tossed flaming liquid on him on the subway Saturday, jumped in front of his fiance to protect her, he told the Post from the hospital. Petrit Aliaj, 23 years old, was completely covered in bandages on his upper body as he lay down in his bed at the New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Hospital. Still in shock from the random attack earlier in the day. Doctors told him he has burns on 30% of his body and he expects to be holed up in the hospital for at least a week to recover. It was worth it, he said, to protect his betrothed. I protect my fiance with my body and your heart and your soul, and I commend you, my fellow Shipe. This salute is for you, Petrit Aliyai, the Albanian double-headed eagle salute for bravery and honor goes out to you, my brother. You were raised by a very good family. He said he was in not so much pain now, which he attributed to the medicine he'd be given, but before, oh my God, Aliyai, who's originally from Albania, said he was sitting on the number 1 train with his fiance and his cousin on their way to visit the Statue of Liberty around 2:45 p.m. when they pulled into the Varick Street station in Lower Manhattan. The assailant, later identified as 49-year-old Niall Taylor, got on with a cup in his hand filled with some liquid. He had a cup, Aliyai said, as he pointed to a cup on his bedside table like this, maybe smaller. He made a motion of tossing the liquid from a cup to demonstrate. Aliyai said he was able to turn his body to protect his fiance and his cousin, who were seen next to him. His shirt caught fire, and he immediately began slapping himself with his hands to douse the flames. This is a picture of the suspect. Appears to be an African American, and unfortunately, I don't know what's wrong with this guy or what happened to him, but again, doesn't seem to be racially motivated. However, I feel sometimes when it's the other way around, they love to spin it that way. White person attacks black person. And I think this is part of the problem with the media. They try to fuel hatred, which is absolutely not what we're not trying to do with this story, because there doesn't seem to be any racial motivation to it unless he screams something out loud, in which none of this seems to report that. So hopefully it wasn't racially motivated. Hopefully it was, and not that it's hopefully, because it's unfortunate what happened, but hopefully this was just a mentally ill person who would have did it to anybody, not just someone based on their skin color. In any event, he is in custody, and the way they're running New York City, he'll probably be out in a few hours. And that's why New York City has collapsed. That's why it's empty in the streets during the most beautiful time of the year. That's why you and all your family that own businesses in New York are struggling. You don't have any tourists that want to be here. Most people don't want to go there. Nobody feels safe, and it's because of stories like this. Then they want to charge us an extra $17 to cross a certain street in Manhattan, because they created the congestion, because there's no people in New York, not like before. So they took out bike lanes on 8th Avenue, bus lanes. They took 5-lane avenues and made them functional with 1 lane, because you lost 2 lanes, one for parking, one for the bike, one for the bus lane. Now you have 2 lanes. When Ubers and taxis pull over, you only have 1 lane. Your politicians turned 5-lane avenues into 1 lane, creating congestion and the worst traffic ever, and now they want to charge you for the congestion that they created. I just want to remind you. So when you're stuck in traffic and you're paying that $17, remember, they knocked out many lanes on huge avenues like 8th Avenue that you used to be able to zip uptown, no problem. These politicians who do not know how to run the city or do it on purpose are the reason they're going to charge you $17. And this is why New York has failed, why everyone's leaving, why taxes go to misuse, construction projects that take forever. I wonder how many briefcases some of these people get under the table. And that's why corruption needs to be taken care of immediately. That's why they need to go to jail. That's why Bob Menendez and people that are like him have been tried, yet to be proven guilty. But we'll see what happens. I mean, only a few gold bars, few envelopes from developers in his pocket. I'm sure it had nothing to do with doing favors for money. If you still think these people go and run for office because they care about me and you and we're doing what's right, they all know how to speak really well, just like I do. I would be an amazing politician. But I actually would do nice things for the people. You know, at least throw them a few crumbs. Let them eat cake. New York's not the only place that has things backwards right now. Los Angeles, actor Johnny Wachter killed trying to stop catalytic converter theft in downtown LA. General Hospital actor Johnny Wachter was killed early Saturday while trying to stop a group of thieves tampering with a car in downtown LA. Wachter, who died at the age of 37, sorry for that, little gas in the morning, a little coffee, at the age of 37, was shot while trying to stop a group of 3 men attempting to steal his car's catalytic converter. This is absolutely horrible. It shows you the crime's just out of control. But I'm sorry here, brother. I'm sorry you lost your life. But even me, I'm 6'2", 300 pounds. I fear no one but God himself. And if I saw 3 men attacking my car, I would not approach them if I was unarmed, first of all. Second of all, you're outnumbered. There's nothing smart about the move he made here. So please, folks, unless you're Rak Merdita, who's Albanian, who had a similar situation going on, and he had his dad and his brother there, even there you should be careful. Please make sure that you call the police. Your life is not worth a car or a Cadillac converter or your necklace or your wallet or your stupid watch. Take the crap off, give it to them, because your life is not worth material objects. You have insurance. Unfortunately, I'm not defending the actions of these criminals, but they clearly were armed. He wasn't. And even if he was and he tried to do something, he would have ended up in jail because California has their laws backwards. This is why we have a Second Amendment right in the United States of America and an inalienable right as human beings to protect our property and our lives. And unfortunately, the people of California do not have those rights, as many New Yorkers clearly don't either. The system is broken. Trump braces for final act of his historic criminal trial. Today in New York, they're going to read out the verdict. Donald Trump's first criminal trial has arrived at its dramatic final act, with lawyers for both sides primed on Tuesday to hammer home their cases before jurors consider a verdict that could make history. The summations mark the climax of a trial that started more than a month ago. They are expected to last all day Tuesday and could stretch into the following day. After Judge Juan Merchan instructs jurors on the law, Trump and the rest of the country will be held in suspense to see whether he will become the first ex-president and presumptive GOP nominee to be convicted of a crime after allegedly falsifying financial records to hide a hush money payment to an adult film star in 2016, reported by CNN. I guess the anticipation's kind of like when OJ went to trial. Well, I felt like that was more exciting than this one is, but let's see what happens. There is a lot on the line, and it is a year of choosing the next leader of the USA. Very convenient, all these attacks, some would say, on one of the candidates. YouTube users running an ad blocker can no longer watch a video thanks to Google's latest moves. So if you were kind of finding a way to, get past all the ads that are placed on videos like mine, I'm glad they figured it out. We're not working for free here. It's not like we make tons of money unless we have millions of followers. So the ads not going through doesn't help people like me, unless you're paying for premium version, which I pay for myself because I can't stand watching commercials. But I need the revenue that YouTube gives us. And I thank YouTube for giving us the opportunity to try and make a living by doing what we love. So I'm glad that YouTube figured this out so we can keep YouTube more profitable. They're losing less money and maybe they can pay us even more. So good job, YouTube. Proud of you. Wall Street braces for a faster trade settlement. This is reported by Reuters. U.S. trading moves to a shorter settlement on Tuesday, which regulators hope will reduce risk and improve efficiency in the world's largest financial markets, but it is expected to temporarily increase transaction failures for investors. So be careful if you're trading, folks. There's some new tech being introduced, and it's supposed to speed things up, which will make it easier for shorting and stuff like that. So be careful out there for the next few weeks or months. We now go to the Middle East, reported by Reuters. Egyptian guard killed in a shooting on Rafah border. Israel and Egypt investigating. Israel's military had earlier said it was investigating reports of an exchange of fire between Israeli and Egyptian soldiers. A few hours ago, a shooting incident occurred on the Egyptian border. The incident is under review and discussions are being held with the Egyptians. So we all know that that area is very tense, as there's a large military operation going on right now in the Rafah region of Gaza, which is right on the border with Egypt. And right now there was a horrible strike that left 45 dead at a camp in Rafah. I'm going to play this video from CNN and let you guys hear what's going on right now.
So this happened in northwest Raffah. We understand it was in the Tal al Sultan camp. It's an area where there are many displaced people who have been moved due to the war by the Israeli military in many cases, a number of times. We know that it is an area.
What is disturbing to all of us, okay? And this does not make us Israeli or anti-Semitic. You have lost the support of billions of people with the way you've handled the situation. It's hard to even find sympathy at this point for what happened on October 7th because you are losing the hearts and minds of people because your response to that incident has been considered excessive even by the world courts, the ICC. And to say this was another mistake, because that's what Israel's trying to say, when you have people put in like sardines, they're not allowed to leave to go into Egypt. There's nowhere for them to run or hide. You're losing the support you have, guys, from people that have supported you. Okay, I don't care where you stand on the issue of who belongs and doesn't belong and who deserves the land. I don't care about that. I care about the preservation of human life. And how this conflict has been handled has been absolutely horrible. And you see posts all over Twitter, everyone saying eyes on Rafah. And I am warning my Israeli friends that I have, and I mean by that is overseas, that the world is watching your actions. The world is watching you guys. The ones who claim never again and people and war and this and that. It's not an argument about who deserves to be there. It's just got to stop, period. People say hand over the hostages. Well, I don't think all these civilians can control the militias and the people that have the hostages. The amount of response that's happened here has been excessive. You got over 40,000 people gone, women and children. We're seeing images. It's just, guys, what are you doing? What are you doing? You may win this conflict physically, militarily. You have lost it spiritually. You really have. And I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I have a lot of love and people that I care about that are of that community. My people, the Albanians, saved them during the horrible conflict of World War II. So to watch you guys drop the ball on this, it hurts. And to see what's happening to my Palestinian friends and their families is devastating because it reminds me of the wars of the Balkans. I am praying that the world ends this conflict, that this Rafah campaign, okay, I just don't see how it doesn't kill a lot of people. And this is what's wrong with the United Nations, the world, and especially my country. I'm ashamed of how America, and I blame the British more than anybody. You guys created this mess back in the 1940s or whatever you did. You should have gave them their land too. Since you decided to give them their own country, you displaced these people, you created this nightmare, and you need to fix it now. But the problem is Israel's so strong now. They've built their military with American taxpayers' dollars. They don't need to listen to anybody anymore, and they don't want to, and they don't need to. So I feel very bad for what's going on over there. And again, I'm not even getting into who deserves to be there, doesn't deserve to be there. It is just absolutely horrific what has happened there. You can try to whitewash the history of it. The truth is out there. The world is watching, and I really pray that my friends in that part of the world show some restraint, figure out a humanitarian way to end this conflict, even if, I don't know. It's absolutely horrible. This has only led to other countries recognizing the Palestinians' right to self-determination. The Hill reports that Spain, Norway, and Ireland have formally recognized the Palestinian state. Spanish President Pedro Sanchez called the move a historic decision that has a single goal, and that is to help Israelis and Palestinians achieve peace. The recognitions, which will not have an impact on the conflict itself, were quickly denounced by the Israeli government. Israeli Foreign Minister Israel Katz compared the Spanish Vice President to Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and said the Spanish government was being complicit in inciting genocide against Jews and war crimes. I mean, I don't think that that's inciting violence. I think it's like these people were here too, and we recognize their right to live there. And you always want to kind of twist it and make everyone a bad guy when they're telling you that you're kind of wrong with the way you're handling things and that these people have a right to exist also. So, guys, you're kind of losing this thing here. And it's not because everyone hates the Jews and wants it's like you guys are just wrong right now. Your response was excessive. It's kind of hard to make people want to feel bad for you when they see women and children being blown to smithereens. I'm sorry. I don't know how many times I got to tell you. I've been saying it since October 7th. Be careful the way you handle this. Be careful because the world's watching. The young people, they don't have a tolerance for this. They're not going to sit back. It feels like we're in the 1960s in New York City. They're protesting more for this than they did for when, and they did a lot. I'm not going to knock down what happened with the whole George Floyd thing, but it's literally been every day nonstop. So people that once may have supported Israel, they no longer do. Over the weekend, Memorial Day here in Jersey, Wildwood had a scene of chaos. Wildwood's a Jersey Shore town. It's exit 4 on the Garden State Parkway. It's at the bottom of the tail of New Jersey. They got rides, boardwalks, hotels, motels. Kind of looks like Daytona Beach a little bit. And they went crazy this weekend. Someone got stabbed on the boardwalk. Looks like a lot of children that were celebrating prom. I went to prom weekend down in Wildwood. It was nothing like this. It wasn't this crazy. Looks like a lot of young people just went crazy and running, and someone got stabbed. And it was crazy, and there was a state of emergency declared in Wildwood. And it just shows you how quickly things can progress. So please be careful out there, especially if your children are going away for prom weekend. My son will be celebrating his prom this weekend. I can't believe he's already 17 years old. And I hope he does the right thing, because I will whip his butt if he doesn't. This is reported by the Daily Mail. Air Force vets who served at Top Secret Area 52 base reveal how it made them sick with tumors, but say they can't get aid because the government refuses to acknowledge their mission. So because they were a part of a top secret mission, many of them got sick, and now they want some reparations for having to being exposed to radiation poisoning. And I don't think that's fair that the government treats our guys like this, our guys and girls like this. You kept them at the, test range, and it's not fair. A teen falls 400 feet from a high steel bridge and somehow survives. Okay, 400 feet is like really high up. I'm amazed how this guy survived. They pulled him out of the, below the bridge, and, he was having a Memorial Day weekend, fell off the bridge 400 feet, and this is a happy ending to what could have been a very tragic story of a young person losing their life during this weekend. There was a landslide in Papua New Guinea. For those of you that don't know where that is, please hit Google and learn about the world. And they believe some 2,000 people may be trapped, which is absolutely horrific. It is a third world country. They don't have the responses that we have in the West. And here's some footage of that landslide. You see houses completely covered in mud and stone. A very, very frantic rescue effort. If there's any survivors, I don't see how they can find anyone alive to pick them up like this. As a child, I was a big fan of Home Alone. And, when he puts the after shaving Macaulay Culkin. Well, the home that the movie was filmed in is for sale, and I can't believe it's a whopping $5.2 million. The last time it was sold was in 2012 for $1.5 million, almost $1.6 million. But I got to think maybe the inflation and also the cinematic history of this home. This actually looks really beautiful inside. A lot better than when Kevin lived there. So, if you want to own the home of Home Alone, you could buy the home of Home Alone and then make everyone leave your house. And then you'll be home alone in the Home Alone house. And then maybe you can hire some robbers to attack the house, and you can reenact the whole Home Alone saga if you're weird and have problems, and maybe you're bored and a multimillionaire at the same time. My heart goes out to Jimmy Kimmel. Not a fan of a lot of things he's done and some of his views, but Jimmy Kimmel's son has had a third open heart surgery. He's only 7 years old. It just shows you just because someone's rich and famous doesn't mean they don't have their own battles and their struggles. I bet you Jimmy would give up his fame, his money, and everything he has to make sure that his 7-year-old will be okay. Him and his family are in my prayers. And it just shows you, folks, every one of us has struggles. Every one of us goes through hard times. Jimmy Kimmel is not immune to this. And my prayers go out to his kid. Mike Tyson had a little incident over the weekend. I don't know if it's going to affect his fight scheduled to happen in Texas. After Mike Tyson became nauseous and dizzy during a flight reported by Y Sports, his reps are commenting how it will affect the Jake Paul fight. He suffered a medical emergency on a flight from Miami to LA. Tyson has been the center of conversation ever since he agreed to box Jake Paul in July, with everyone from Dana White of the UFC to recent Roadhouse co-star Conor McGregor voicing an opinion about the bout. Mike Tyson's rep had to clear up a prevalent rumor that the boxer's medical emergency was the reason that the flight to LA was delayed more than 2 hours. As it turns out, the flight was delayed due to an air conditioning malfunction, and had nothing to do with Tyson's health. As for Mike Tyson's Sunday night complications, this representative had this to say. Thankfully, Mr. Tyson's doing great. He became nauseous and dizzy due to an ulcer flare-up 30 minutes before landing. He's appreciative to the medical staff that were there to help him. However, it's false reporting that his medical attention caused the flight delay. So I guess the fight is on, and Jake Paul, you better watch your butt. Israeli tanks have advanced into Rafah, and that's going to continue. Just to cover a little bit more, that's pretty much all that's gone on over the Memorial Day weekend that I found to be interesting. If you have interesting stories, shoot me a message on Twitter, on X, at Bek Lover NYC. You can also hit me up on Instagram. I do check the messages for the most part. You can also tag me on any interesting stories that you would like me to cover. You can also email me by going on to my Instagram and clicking the email tab. In any event, we live in a very interesting world. This is Bek Lover, and you're watching the Bek Lover podcast, where I report everything that's interesting. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks. See you next time. That's word to your mother. Bek Lover, this is no